Hello there. Paul Masson, American Marsala, 17% alcohol. Okay, as you know, or as you may not know, over the years I used to do a series called Off Track Wines, and then I was like, why am I calling it Off Track? I do more and more of it. I'll just call it whatever the title of the product is. So this is Paul Masson, American Marsala. There's also a California Marsala, okay? The ones that are coming from the West Coast are designated California. The ones coming from the East Coast, New York, Canandaigua, New York to be specific, are called American, whatever, American Marsala, American Burgundy. And there's a whole line with the Paul Masson table or dessert wine products. Now out in New York, there's Matt Schrader. He has a microbiology degree from Cornell University. On the West Coast in California, there's another winemaker. He has a degree from University of California, Davis. I said this in another video. You want to work for a big wine company or liquor company, distillery or brewery, and you want to make good money, you need to get that bachelor's degree. If you want to take shortcuts, go ahead, but then when you don't succeed, just remember what I told you. This Marsala, and Marsala is a type of sweet, strong wine that was introduced from in Marsala, Sicily, in the 1700s when you had the Kingdom of Sicily. That used to be a separate country, the Kingdom of Sicily, which was absorbed by Italy in 1860. But anyway, in Sicily for centuries was owned by Spain. And that's why you often hear people refer to Sicily almost as though it's a separate country from Italy, because until 146 years ago, it was a separate country. The Bourbon, the Bourbons, France, the Bourbon Kingdom of Sicily, the kingdom of the two Sicilies, Naples, southern Italy, and the island of Sicily. But anyway, okay, I was reading this article on our website. I think it's called British Food in America, and he was talking about fake European wines in America, and he was describing something. He was describing this one as having utility. He said it's a fake European wine. It's not from Madeira, which is in Portugal. Marsala, which is in Sicily, or Madeira in Portugal. And it's cheap, blah blah blah. And then he admitted in the course of the website, it did taste pretty good. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's garbage, but it tastes pretty good. This is Paul Masson was a French immigrant. It's funny that he was talking about fake European products in America, yet the guy who founded Paul Masson, who was Paul Masson, who died in 1940, he was a French immigrant to America. And what did the French know about wine? Or the Italians, the Southern Italians? These people know wine. But Paul Masson moved to California, and he was, like I said, an immigrant. He started a wine company, became huge, one of the biggest in the world, and or at least in the United States. After he died 76 years ago, his family eventually sold out. The company is owned by Constellation Brands today, all the varieties and the facilities. You may know Constellation Brands because they also own the Paul Masson brandies and Corona Extra and Modelo Especial, Modelo Negro, Modelo. So it's huge, huge. You get on their website, you could spend days looking at all their stuff. And then not only do they talk about the brands, and they have this called Brand Central, and it's all these sell sheets, which probably is used by distributors. But you can access it. They'll let you download it. It's not, you don't have to log in or anything. And they had this long thing about the Marsala, the dessert wines. And then you might ask, well, before I go on, this is a rich, strong, fruity, golden, almost golden raisin aroma. It's really lovely. The flavor is that California raisin, sweet, some prune, some nut, definitely nuts like almond oil. The body's at the high end of light. It's super drinkable. Now the Madeira was strong, alcoholic, rough, a punch. I liked it though. But it was, it didn't. show you a lot of mercy. This one is merciful, even though it's 17% alcohol. And it's quite lovely. And it's so enjoyable. Now, you know, if you look on the United States, you can look on the ATF, but then it'll route you to the tobacco tax, and what did they say? Tobacco tax, alcohol, and firearms bureau. And there's this huge, talk about extensive, it's even more in depth than the Constellation Brands website. There's thousands of pages of regulations, and they go on, and then about what flavorings can be used. Like they say with a wine like this, if they say Marsala, okay? And I'm going to put the link there, and it shows what each part of a wine label in the United States will tell you. And it says Marsala, okay, like they said, 75%, a minimum of 75% of the grapes used in this Marsala must be grapes that are generally associated with Marsala, and then everything. And then they talked about what is a dessert wine as opposed to a table wine. And I didn't really know, I hear the terms. And according to the United States government, this is different in Europe, we're talking about America. I'm in America. They said in the United States, table wine, dessert wine has no relevance to the quality of the product. That's immaterial. And really, the U.S. government doesn't really deal with quality, if it's a good product or bad. They only deal with like specifications. And by the way, on the Constellation Brands, they'll give you the grams of fat, the pH balance of each wine, and other things. I can't remember. They're very detailed. They say a table wine is any wine 14% alcohol or lower. Dessert wine is 14% up. So 14% is a cutoff. That's it. If it's above 14, it's dessert wine. If it's below 14, it's table wine. That's what they're using. Now the California Marsala is 17.5 according to the Constellation Brands website. The American Marsala is New York, Canandaigua, New York. Matt Schrader. Like I said, they're a winemaker. So if you go to like Dorgnac's, they'll have just a huge array of Paul Masson wines. Most stores don't carry that brand here in Louisiana, and maybe in your state it's ubiquitous. But you'll notice it'll either say California or American. And American means it's coming out of Canandaigua, New York. California means it's coming from, you know, the West Coast. And they're similar. They're similar, but they're not the same. If you look carefully, they're not quite the same. So, going on. According to Constellation Brands, and I love looking at this website because some companies, beer, wine, liquor, they're just horrible with their descriptors and their information. Constellation Brands they go above and beyond what you would expect. Now they have some notes. They say it's honey. They say it can be paired with a meal called Marsala honey barbecue wings, and they talk about that, and they show a photo. And here they're saying use it for a chicken Marsala. And for each of their wines, they've got a food pairing and a recipe idea. They're saying deep golden color. Well, you can see that. Full-bodied. You know, I'm not getting the full body in the mouthfeel, but of course I'm used to doing beer reviews. Wine has a different, maybe in the flavor it's full-bodied. I don't know what they mean. Now they're calling it a full-bodied fragrant sherry. This is what Constellation Brands are calling this, a sherry. Really? Sweet but balanced, with a lively taste of citrus flavors and aromas. I certainly agree with that. Added complexities are achieved by aging in small oak casks. They say they use an old world method, and it says right here, oak casks. Does give it gives it an oak, a vanilla, a little bit, just the tiniest bit. Now I was drinking that beer, the Founder's Dirty Bastard. You know, that was a little too overwrought. They kept like touting the bourbon barrels, or as they say in England, bourbon. But you know, it was all bourbon, and the beer seemed like it took a back seat to it, and that didn't appeal to me really. I took some exception to it. I gave it an A+, but I started thinking on it, and as I wrote the written reviews and thought more about it, I said, no, I really don't think it's an A+. I think it's more like an A. Why not just drink bourbon? But anyway, this is a beautiful item. Beautiful, just wonderful. You would imagine that if Paul Masson winery started in 1882, they might have some skill, talent in producing quality products. Does it have to be extremely expensive? Does it have to be $90 a bottle? I don't think so. Most stores I've been to, it's about $9 or $10 a bottle, okay? The few stores that have this. Although most stores around here have Taylor, which is a counterpoint. They also bought Taylor, and that's another historical company. But at Dorgnac's on Veterans Boulevard in Metairie, formerly Veterans Highway, these are all $4.99. I mean, it's bizarre. I don't know how they achieved that price point, because every other store it's $9 or $10, or in some cases $11 a bottle. But at Dorgnac's, across the board, it's $4.99, and in some cases $5.50 a bottle, you know, for your 750 milliliter. I don't understand it, but I don't question it. I mean, I just go there and buy the products. So if you've had this interesting Marsala wine, let me know what you think about it. And then if you haven't had it and you go and try it, I would be extremely interested in your feedback. So it's around 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time in late November. So getting close to lunch. Got to get on to that. So thank you for watching this video production.